Combat Waffle Studios, the guys currently developing the upcoming PVPVE Raid style shooter Ghosts of Tabor, dropped an absolute banger of an early access trailer last week, and I wanted to quickly show it off to you.
Welcome to the Tabor Marketplace.
Now, I'm going to start off with a disclaimer. I am an early access tester for the game. This does mean that I am locked behind an NDA and there's certain mechanics not shown in this trailer that I cannot discuss. However, anything that I do discuss right now is going to either be speculation or publicly confirmed by the developers. So yeah, that's the disclaimer. Starting off my thoughts, as always, Combat Waffle Studios never fail to impress me with their trailer work. Their video media that they're putting out for this game is probably some of the highest quality content that any developer is putting out for VR titles right now. Proper D, their video editor, is just on point. He's got a really good eye for details and he really does capture the atmosphere of the game and how they want to kind of portray the game overall. I was really taken in by the intro sequence. I love the transition between the ghost operator slouching on his couch, chooching down on a cigar, and the camera panning into his patch and then morphing into the Volk patch and it zooming out again to a Volk operator tending to his crop. This, I guess, shows us that there's going to be some form of hydroponic horticultural mechanic in the game, which I suspect will be towards the healing side of things, as I assume that high quality pharmaceutical medical items are going to be quite difficult to get your hands on in the game, so homegrown solutions are always a great way to go. But the one thing I really appreciated about this trailer was the live action sequences that they have when it's transitioning from the in-game character to a person on one of those VR treadmills, I don't even know what they're called, or to a guy loading his magazine and he's got the little mammoth stock. Or my favorite one was the guy zipping up his plate carrier, but in real life he's zipping up his haptic suit. I really loved that. I appreciate it not just because of how it looks in the actual trailer, but also the fact that it shows that developers are putting the time in to ensure that all of these little immersion building accessories that you can buy for VR are being natively supported by the game. Whether it be those 360 treadmills, the B haptic suits, the mammoth gun stock, or that weird brick he had on his arm, I have no idea what that is, and I'm pretty sure that I will be corrected very quickly in the Discord. I assume it's some form of haptic device, I'm just not sure, but I can imagine it really does build immersion when you've got this literal toaster attached to your arm, and then in game you turn your arm around and what have you got? You've got a tablet strapped onto your wrist. So I can imagine that's really immersion building. Obviously these types of setups cost thousands of Freedom Eagles or Queenie coins. Oh, I can't use Queenie coins anymore, can I? Kingy coins, I guess? But for those who are in the position to be able to have those types of devices, yeah, it's great to see that the game's going to support them. Another little detail that you might not have noticed but really caught my attention straight off the bat is that the fact that in the live action little parts, you'll notice that the headset that the individual is wearing changes between an Index and a Quest 2. And the reason this is important is the fact that the game is going to natively support Quest 2, PCVR, and the PlayStation VR2. Obviously, this is all touched upon in the very end splash screen, where it's got the Meta logo, the Steam logo, the PlayStation logo, and the Epic Games logo with early access underneath. Now, once all these live action and in-game sequences come to conclusion and you've been graced with the back of Proper D's head, you then get this transition into pseudo gameplay footage. It's not actually gameplay footage, and in the bottom right of the screen you'll see it said in-engine cinematic footage. The most important thing I want to bring to your attention here as a Brit myself is the wonderful individual rocking an L85A2. The guy's obviously nuts because he's using the irons on the gun, which no soldier in their right mind would do. All joking aside, this little segment does give you a good idea of day and night and kind of just the difference in environments that you're going to be finding yourself in. Whether it's going to be like a wooded village or just a wooded area in general, or a deep underground subway station, or it could be the silo map that they announced a while ago. But I am assuming it's the subway station because it just looks more like a subway, and that is something that they announced a fair while ago on an M4 video that they released. But obviously then it transitions into a video, another live action sequence actually, with a guy kind of coming up to the door of a house in his little treadmill, pulling out a very attractive over-under shotgun and effectively blowing a door handle off a door. You'll notice as the operators come bursting through the door, they're totally clad in tan rather than black, and that's because the initial people coming up to that door are Volk and the people coming through the door are Ghost. You'll notice small little things like the shotgun changes and it's no longer nighttime, it's daytime, and it's not a continuity error, it's just an effort to show off the different factions of the game. I assume that there could be some deeper meaning behind it, maybe something along the lines of the Ghost and Volk operators aren't all that different, they're just fighting for a different cause. But I'm not that philosophical, so I don't know. It then introduces the other faction of the game, being the Phoenix, who are effectively the scavs of Tabor. They're an NPC faction only. You can do Phoenix runs, just like how you can do scav runs in Tarkov, but it's not a faction that you can just actively choose to play as. There's then a nice little montage of just action gunfights taking place in different locations of the game. You see some people getting shot and killed and some more live action portions. One thing I found really interesting is this one little sequence where a guy pulls out what is effectively a stimulant injector and then lumps it into what looks like a very specific stim port in his arm. And this is actually the first time we've seen anything in terms of healing items in Ghosts of Tabor from any of the media that they've released. So So I wonder if this is something that's just natively on your character, or whether this is something that as your character develops and you upgrade your HQ, you can then get to a point of where you can have better healing items, and in order to use these better healing items, you have to have this little implant put onto your arm. This is obviously speculation on my part, because this is the first time we've seen anything of the healing system of this game. Obviously, once this little section has ended, there's a sequence at the end where a guy comes up and basically takes a dead individual's bag. And this is effectively what the looting mechanic is going to be. It's you basically have to take their stuff and then find a nice little rat hole to be able to rummage through it and take what you want. It just means that you can't just take everything that you need and then go very quickly. You actually have to be very methodical, and that means you're going to have to be basically dragging bodies about. After this, you get a nice little sequence of a ghost operator and a Volk operator basically just in their HQ, sitting down or putting stuff away, chomping down on some beans, and then cracking open a can and knocking it back. Afterwards, we are greeted by what I think is probably the most important sequence of this trailer, which is where he turns over his arm, hits the tablet on his wrist, and gets pulled into this augmented reality, where he is greeted by the Advantage Research Corps' Tabor marketplace. So this gives us an idea of how the traders are going to work in Tabor, which is really nice. I'm also speculating here that this little tablet on your wrist is probably where you're going to be queuing up for raids and the other multiplayer game modes that are going to be in the game. We then have another little montage of action, which ends in a splash screen of Ghost of Tabor leading into the early access splash screen with all the platforms the game is going to be releasing on, and that is the end of the trailer. As I touched upon at the beginning of the video, I am very impressed by this trailer because it does give you a lot of information in a very short period of time, whether it be what type of headsets are going to be compatible with the game, what type of VR accessories are going to be supported, the types of mechanics we can expect to see, whether it's the healing mechanic, the looting mechanic, or horticulture, or how we're going to be trading in the game. It gives off a lot of information in a very short period of time and also manages to be engaging at the same time. So hats off to Property once again for such an amazing edit and being able to put as much information into that trailer as he could. I'm really impressed. It also helps solidify my confidence in the game as a whole, as a lot of the media we've had coming up until this trailer has been quite sparse or vague, and I can understand why people may be suspicious about the game, as I guess the main criticism of the trailer is the fact that there's no gameplay footage. But it isn't a gameplay trailer, it's a cinematic trailer. So just bear that in mind if that's a concern of yours. There is gameplay footage available out in the World Wide Web, and I'll have some of it playing over the top of this right now. But yeah, it is a cinematic trailer, it's not a gameplay trailer, and I'm sure they will release a gameplay trailer soon enough. But right now, this is what we've got available to us. But all that said and done, this is going to wrap it up for me today. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.